Hello my friends, it's Gabriel with the Last Huntsman channel here once again, and today I want to do a video in response to Feral Woodcraft's video of his top 3 EDC knife picks. And I have my own favorite EDC knives. I will be honest though, I kind of have a hard time picking only 3, so I'll show you the main 3 that I use, but then I'll show you all the different EDC knives that I like to switch in between. Alright, so first of all, I gotta state what I personally classify as a good EDC knife. Obviously, you know, there's bushcraft knives, there's, you know, self-defense knives, and then there's what I like to use as an EDC knife. And an EDC knife is not particularly a strict bushcraft knife or even necessarily a strict self-defense knife, but I like a knife that can do a combination of both. And so there's some knives that I like as, you know, a great bushcraft knife, but I usually don't carry them on me on an everyday basis because, you know, they're a bushcraft knife. They're handle heavy and they're not exactly great for self-defense, or they don't got a guard on them or anything like that. And then there's knives that I carry that's on an everyday basis that still can do bushcraft stuff and small survival tasks, but also it would make a great self-defense knife as well. So let's check out some of the blades that I switch around in between. Alright, so here's some of the blades that I switch around between. Now there's a few that I'm going to rule out almost immediately. I hate to do this, but as I was saying, not all knives are a great EDC knife, and I absolutely love the LT Wrights. Not going to try to discredit them in any way, shape, or form, but they don't make exactly the best EDC knife just because they're lacking a guard, and quite frankly they're a little handle heavy, which is fine for bushcraft, but for self-defensive tack uses they can be a little lacking in that regard. The SE4 HM kinda has that same down point. I mean, the blade here itself actually kinda has a decent guard, but it's still pretty easy to slip up on it. So let's talk about my 5 favorite EDC blades. Alright, so I'll go through each one of my top 5 favorite EDC blades. One I've had probably the longest and I think is one of the champions is the SE4. Done a video on this one. I got the custom TKC G10 scales on it. It's a really good blade. I definitely would suggest it. It can do just about anything you need it to do. It's a good self-defense blade. It's a good bush blade if need be. And it also comes with a pretty good sheath too, so you don't necessarily have to go get a Kydex sheath or anything made for it. It locks in really good. The next one that I have is the Tops Baja 4.5. I really like this one because it is a little thinner than the SE4 and the other ones that I have. It's 5/32, which is actually, for a smaller knife, I think is just about perfect. I personally think 1/8 is too thin for some things. And that's just me personally. I know that's kind of bushcraft blasphemy, just like saying you don't like Scandi grinds. I know that's another bushcraft blasphemy to some of the bushcrafters. But yeah, I really like this blade. It also can serve as a decent bush blade and a decent self-defense knife. This Kydex sheath here that I got, not overly impressed just because the grommet holes don't line up for a clip of any sort, so I had to kind of resort to paracord to keep it on there, but hey, it works. and it's a little better than the leather. But I generally don't like a leather sheath just because they sit down lower, which as far as a bush knife goes, that's perfectly fine. But if I want to EDC and conceal it, then it doesn't work out that great. And that's one of my stipulations, is I like to be able to conceal it so nobody knows I have it on me. There's no sense in having a concealed carry weapons permit if you don't conceal, right? Done a video on this one. The other one I like to carry on me that is Bark River Bravo 1.25. Obviously this is a pretty good blade. This is probably the thickest, heaviest, and biggest one that I have. Another EDC blade I carry on me is the Blackjack Tac Ops 4. Now obviously this is more of a tactical blade, but it very well can serve for a bush blade. I've used it for that. Obviously you can tell it's quite worn from me using that. Still holds up great, just doesn't have that perfect mirror shine finish on it anymore. And I don't know why these aren't more popular, to be honest, but they come with a Kydex sheath. Not the best Kydex sheath in the world, but it actually does fairly decent for the money. I mean, this is like an $80 knife, so no qualms there. It's usually kind of hard to get a knife with G10 scales on it and 1095 American made with a convex grind on it and a Kydex sheath for, you know, less than $100. That's pretty good overall. But yeah, the Blackjack Tac Ops 4 is one of my top 5 picks. My final pick is the Tops Cut 4.0. This is one of my newest blades actually, and I've quickly grown fond of this one just because it, one, just looks really cool, obviously, but beyond just the looks, I mean, I'm not going to claim to be an expert at knife fighting techniques and defense, but I guess you can say I'm amateur, moderate, or whatever, but I'm not even going to try to rate myself. But just looking at the ergos of this thing would be amazing. Obviously you can hold it this way or this way, but because it's not the typical karambit reverse blade kind of raptor claw shape, whatever they want to call it, it can still, with that sweep on it, can still actually perform a lot of the same bushcraft tasks as, say, a SE4 or any of the other blades that I've showed, and it does really good with it. And you don't necessarily even have to hold it like this. I got small enough hands, I can grasp it like so. And the sheath that comes with it, usually that's a big kind of known thing with Tops, is that they come with absolutely garbage sheaths, but this one here is actually pretty cool, and it has these kind of leather rubber hybrid kind of loops on it, so it sits horizontally. And I usually just carry it on my front, and so I could either draw it with my weak hand to, you know, get somebody back or something if need be, if they're like trying to grab my gun or something, or I can grab it strong hand and still use it just like a normal knife. So these are my favorite EDC blades. I've been collecting blades for a long time. I've been EDCing fixed blades for a long time, and these are my top 5 favorites. Now I'm always changing, switching things up, and you know, sometimes I just get kind of bored with something and start carrying something else. So that's why I obviously like to collect a bunch. But for right now, the SE4 Bark River Bravo 1.25, the Blackjack Tac Ops 4, the Tops Baja 4.5, and the tops cut 4.0 are my current favorite EDC fixed blade knives. So it's just going to be a quick video, guys. Thanks for watching. Be prepared both physically and spiritually. God bless, and carry on.